In this demonstration, I'm going to show you SPDocKit, the ultimate SharePoint management and administration tool made by my team at Acceleratio. So the idea here for this demonstration is to show you some general overview of all the key features that you can use in your day-to-day SharePoint operations, and to show you some of the things that are available for in our tool. So the key component of our tool is the ability to create SharePoint inventory documentation. So the tool goes into your SharePoint system and it documents all the settings, so all the servers, all the web applications, site collections, and service applications. So every setting that you see in the SharePoint Central Administration, we are retrieving that and showing that either in the user interface available in SPDocKit, or you can create a user-friendly Word document that contains all these settings, or an Excel document and that you can print out and show to your customers or to your colleagues in the IT department. When we gather all these settings from SPDocKit or from SharePoint inside of SPDocKit, we can then analyze all the settings according to the latest best practices created by Microsoft or other community members, and then we can point out some potential problems that your farm might have, and when we analyze it, we are just going to indicate even how you can fix some of those requirements. The third part of our offering in the SPDocKit is the ability to manage permissions. We all know that as your SharePoint sites grow and as you have more users, it can be challenging at times to be efficient when managing permissions. So that's why we built in some additional tooling that can help you be more effective and to assign or remove permissions from SharePoint sites in a more efficient way. I'm going to show you that in a demo in just a couple of minutes. On top of permission management, we also document your content and structure to give you some information about sizes of your SharePoint sites and the structure of these sites, so documents you have and stuff like that, so you can also analyze that inside of the tool. Also, one key component of the software is the ability to compare all these things. So once you create a snapshot of a farm, you can easily compare it with the same farm in a different time period, or you can compare it to different farms, which can be very useful if you are having multiple farms. So for example, if you have a test farm, a development farm, or a QA farm or something like that, and then you can compare all these settings just to make sure that they are exactly the same if you need to verify some potential problem that you have in your environment. On top of that, we also provide you with the new ability to search all your ULS and event logs. So we have a dedicated small search engine that can crawl all these things, and then you can use it to just search for some potential issue or a correlation ID that has been troubling you, which can be very useful if you have a multiple server farm, and then you can use our tool to gather information from all the servers in your environment in order to have a single view of all these events in a single place. So the tool we created is developed for system administrators and consultants to help them automate some of the stuff that they do on a daily basis, and these things can be helpful when you try to be more efficient and more quick in performing some of these tasks. So we are trying to create a tool that can be a guide and also help when you need to perform some tasks and to be more quick and more efficient when doing so. So to cut to the chase, let's go to the demo. And in demo, I'm going to show you all these things that I mentioned in these couple of slides so that you can see the product in action and how you can use it in your daily operations. So let's jump to demo now. So on your screen now, you can see my SPDocKit console. So this is the home screen, and you see all the most important operations here. One of the things that comes in mind when I look at this is the ability to take snapshots. So that's the key component. Snapshot is pretty much a snapshot of your environment in a given time. So when I click on this button, SPDocKit is going to try to gather all the settings from SharePoint and then store all these settings in our SharePoint, in our SPDocKit database. This is not a backup tool, so we just document your configuration. We don't create a backup that you can restore. and recreate your farm, but there are ways that can help you compare farms in different time periods or compare different farms. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So if you are just here for the first time and you want to learn more about your SharePoint farm, the first thing you would have to do is to create a snapshot. So if I click on that button, a new dialog is going to appear, and it's going to offer me some options of on the level of detail I want to document this farm. So in my case, I'm just going to choose custom so that I can show you guys some of the settings we have inside of the system. So when I choose custom, the SPDocKit is going to offer me different options and different levels of stuff that I want to document. So I told you already that we gather all the settings from central administration, but we also provide you with some additional stuff so that you can have a comprehensive farm documentation. In this case, this includes SQL Server documentation, IIS settings. We can also document features and solutions that have been deployed to your farm, and we can also document or backup all these solutions, because in some certain cases for some customers you want to have a backup of your WSP files, your custom SharePoint solutions. So in case of any trouble or you need to redeploy these solutions, you can have a backup on connected to a specific snapshot. In order to be efficient with permissions, we also document all your memberships of Active Directory groups and SharePoint groups and all the groups that you have in your system, so that we can create permission reports for your users. And we also document some other stuff like content types, workflows, and for SharePoint 2016 Feature Pack 1 customers, we also document administrative actions. Taking a snapshot takes a couple of minutes, so to be more efficient in this demo, I'm just going to cancel this dialog, and then we are going to go to the history of snapshots that I already created just for you guys. As you can see here, I have a list of snapshots, and these snapshots are created every day on a scheduled basis. So I have configured my SPDocKit to create a snapshot every day, so I can have a snapshot every day that can be compared to different snapshots on the same system, or I can even use it to compare to different snapshots. So for this particular demo, I'm just going to open one of my snapshots, double click here, and the snapshot is going to load and show me information that I have in this particular system. So let's start with our farm info. And the farm info gives me some basic information, including the version that has been installed for this particular farm, the content database, database version, the exact patch level that has been applied to this farm. So in this case, I have a SharePoint 2016, November 2016 patch level. This farm has obviously 5 servers, and this is the configuration database name. I can also jump to another report that's going to show me a little bit more details about this particular farm. So I'm just going to show you my farm topology. So as I said, I have 5 servers, and this is a SharePoint 2016 farm, and that means that I'm utilizing min roles, and in this particular case I'm utilizing the additional min roles that have been released in Feature Pack 1. So here I have 2 web front-end servers, 1 application server, and 1 application server with search. And at the very bottom, I have my SQL Server database, SQL Server that's hosting my databases. As you can see on the left-hand side in our Farm Explorer, you will see a navigation that it is very similar to SharePoint Central Administration navigation. So I have all the settings that are available in the Central Administration available here as well. So for example, if I want to learn more about my databases, I'm just going to dive into my application settings, databases, and then for example I can see content databases. So this is going to list me all the content databases that I have in my system along with their names and all the other useful information. So for example, if I want to find out how big my databases are, I can see that on this particular report, and I can see the number of sites and stuff like that. So if I'm planning a migration or I just want to be sure what kind of content and how much content do we have, this report can be very useful for any kind of analysis of that type. I also said that there are other stuff as well. So one thing that comes in mind are, for example, service applications. So if I want to know, for example, how my user profiles have been configured, I can just jump into my user profile service application, and then I can check the settings on my synchronization connections, for example. So this shows me how we are importing data from your Active Directory to the user profiles service application. So all the reports are available in our Farm Explorer, and you can go through it, every report, and see what's inside. You can filter on any grid or sort stuff, group stuff by any column and stuff like that. For most people, for most of us, our customers, people want to generate documentation, so we also have a built-in ability to create farm documentation in various formats. So we can do either a Word format or PDF or Excel. In my case, I'm just going to show you a Word. Here I can choose the settings that I want to export to Word document. In my case, I'm just going to stick with the default options, and I'm just going to click Generate here. Type in the name, so this is my demo document, and that's it. So in just a couple of seconds, everything that we have about this particular farm is going to be created as a Word document. And then if I'm consulting for a different company, or if I'm a consultant that needs to create a documentation for my client, I just go here and I have a document that is ready to be exported and sent to my client. If I'm doing this as an internal IT, then I have the ability to generate documentation and make sure if something changes in the future, I have a documentation of my farm and all the settings. I told you already that on top of SharePoint stuff, we also document some other stuff, like you have information about your IIS settings, you have information about your SQL servers, so everything that is connected to SharePoint in some way, we try to document that and provide you with comprehensive information so that you have everything in a single place. Once we gather information about your farm, the next step that we want to do is analyze these settings according to the latest best practices. And this is where our best practices tool comes in mind. And this is the place where you can check if your farm has been configured properly. In an ideal world, this dashboard would show you all the green lights, and that would mean that your farm has been properly configured and that there are no potential errors. Of course, you need to analyze all these best practices because not every best practice applies to every customer and every environment. So there might be best practices that are not applicable to your situation, but there are some that are generally should be checked, and in order to improve performance, stability of your system, and in order to stay under some recommended Microsoft recommended capacity limits of SharePoint, you should definitely check this dashboard from time to time. So let's check some typical stuff that we have for most people that should apply. So for example, our tool is checking for loopback check. So it's recommended that you disable loopback check using the preferred method. And that means that you should disable it only for specified URLs that are being used by SharePoint. And there is a comprehensive documentation. If you click on the Learn More button, it's going to show you what exactly needs to be done and how you need to perform this check in this case. So as you can see, it is not configured properly for my SharePoint servers. So this is something I need to check and to make sure that SharePoint is performing optimally and that there are no potential problems caused by loopbacks and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely need to check if I want to make sure that this system has been properly configured. One other thing, so if we go back to the dashboard, one other thing is the recommendation is always that you don't place your log files on a primary drive. So if you have you should have a server that has at least two different drives, and all the log files and something that can corrupt your primary drive should go to a different location. So in my case, this is the default install location, and it is on my primary drive. So the system is warning me that this is not the best practice and that I should definitely take a look into this and make sure that this goes to another drive. There are many other best practices, so let's check something else. So for example, the system is measuring the response times for your TempDB. There are Microsoft-based recommendations for this one, so it should be under 20 milliseconds. And in my case, you can see that for writing, I'm way above that limit, and for reading, I'm slightly above. So maybe I should check what's going on with my SQL Server, and maybe I need to increase, improve hardware or something that's hosting this SQL Server, just to make sure that I'm on the same level. So take a look at these best practices when you have time in your SharePoint environment, and make sure that you have configured these best practices so that they match your business requirements. And as I said, not every best practice is applicable to all of you guys, so just disable some of those that you don't want to check, but take a look at these that can improve your performance and stability of your SharePoint system. The third key component of SPDocKit is the ability to create permission reports and manage permissions. So let's go into permission management. I'm going to open my Permission Explorer, and then I'm going to expand one of my site collections and show you permissions for this particular site collection. In my case, I have a couple of people that are granted permissions directly. I have some SharePoint groups and then some Active Directory groups that have been assigned permissions here, and I can easily expand all these groups so that I can see who are the members of these groups and why somebody has permissions to a particular site. So that can be very easily to expand. Once we have a user, we can easily transfer or clone permissions. So if, for example, I want to clone permissions of this user and assign all the privileges of this particular user to somebody else, I can then easily click on Clone button and then choose somebody else who is going to get the same permissions as the original person. So in my case, I just want to transfer these permissions to John. I'm going to click Next. The system is going to show me what's going to be done. So in my case, John is going to be assigned full control because Eva has full control on this particular site, and then I'm just going to click Next, and the system is going to apply all the changes that needs to be done. So at the end, John is going to get same permissions as Eva, and if we take a look here, John now has full control over this particular site. There are many other options available in the tool, like transferring permissions, moving people from one group to another, managing site collection administrators, previewing permission levels, deleting, removing groups and stuff like that. So you can be very effective by using our tooling to manage your permissions. If you're managing a site that has many sites or subsites or any kind of objects that have unique permissions, this is going to be clearly indicated in your user interface. So for example, if you take a look at on your left-hand side, there is a subsite called London, and London has unique permissions. So if I need to manage permissions for London, I just need to go here and then assign different privileges. So as you can see on your screen, we have different groups that have permissions for London subsite. Once we have all the permissions, the next step is to create some reports. So you're not just going to use SPDocKit to manage permissions, but you can also use it to create some interesting reports for your business users or somebody who is requiring that, or just to understand how permissions are assigned to your users. So permission reports give you the ability to manage or to view information about all these things. So if I click on the permission reports, I can see that the SPDocKit comes with a number of reports that can be very useful when trying to find out where permissions are assigned. So you can either look stuff from the SharePoint side and look how permissions are assigned to a particular site, list, or list item. But what is most interesting is if I go to user permissions and try to find out where a user has permissions. So for example, if I try to look where my user has permissions, I just need to choose myself from the list, and then the system is going to show me all the permissions that I have in the system. So let me just try to find out a better snapshot for this one. And as you can see here, I have access to various site collections. So for some of these site collections I have full control, for some others I have just read access. So if I want to create a report and find out where a user has permissions, you can use that easily from the user interface. You can also dig into more details. So this particular report is just showing me high-level overview for all the site collections. I can go to user permission details to get even more comprehensive view and go all the way to the list items and to see where exactly I have been assigned privileges and where exactly I can access stuff and stuff like that. This is very useful when you're trying to remove permissions for a user or things like that. So user permission reports can be very helpful for that thing. Once you gather all these settings and permissions, SharePoint inventory settings, server settings and stuff like that, you can easily compare these things using the built-in tool called Compare Wizard. So I'm just going to click on the Compare Wizard button, and this is going to offer me a selection of different compare flavors. So you can compare stuff on various levels. So you can compare permissions, you can compare web configs, you can compare web applications and site collections. For the purpose of this demo, let's choose the simplest one, and that is the farm compare. So I'm just going to click here, and then I'm going to choose what exactly I want to compare. So in my case, I just want to compare my farm from the present date with a snapshot that we created like a month ago, just to understand how things changed over time. So I'm just going to click here. I'm going to choose, let's say, a snapshot from yesterday, and let's go to some other date, and let's go to, for example, February 22nd. If I want to see what exactly is different between these two snapshots, I'm just going to choose both of them, and then the wizard is going to start and do a little bit of magic and then show you all the differences between these two snapshots. So as you can see on your screen, the yellow flag indicates there are some differences, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper and check what exactly is different here, and I can see that somebody configured user profile service application to be in the Active Directory import mode in my today snapshot, and these settings were not present in the February 22nd snapshot. So the farm has been modified, and we can see that there is a difference from left-hand side to the right-hand side. So if I'm trying to find out why something has stopped functioning or why we suddenly have a feature, this is the way how you can compare farms in different time periods. As I already mentioned in the introduction, you also have the ability to compare different farms. So this is very useful when you want to make sure that your development farm is exactly the same as your test farm and things like that. So the system is smart enough to recognize that some things are never going to be the same. So for example, you cannot have two server names that are exactly the same in both environments, but we can allow you to map these things, so we are not going to alert you as for this particular scenario that is not going to be a difference, but we can compare different stuff and show you different stuff in the UI and try to help you in order to find out what is exactly different between two different systems. In the introduction, I mentioned that we recently introduced a new ability for SPDocKit, and that is the ability to search your logs in order to find out some potential problems or just to query for a problem that you're currently having. So this is SPDocKit Event Viewer. It is a separate console that allows you to search all the event logs. So I just need to choose the farm I'm going to crawl today. So in my case, that's my Contosa farm. And then I just need to type in the thing I'm looking for in my search box. And when I hit search, this is going to retrieve from our locally stored index information from your ULS and event logs, and it's going to show you on the screen. And on the left-hand side, you have the ability to filter this a little bit more. So if I'm looking just for some critical stuff and something on my SharePoint SP1 server, I can further filter that out and find out some exceptions that might be causing problems, or if I had an exact correlation ID, I would be able to search for that one as well. So we are searching all the text logs and everything that you have in the system in order to help you to be more efficient and proactive in finding out these errors, especially for customers that are managing servers with SharePoint partners with multiple servers. This can be very useful because you can then crawl all these logs from different servers in a single place. Just to remind you, SPDocKit helps you generate SharePoint documentation, analyze and manage permissions, do various kinds of auditing, enforcing best practices, enforcing some other policies. I only showed you just a couple of stuff, but in order to try it for real, I would recommend all of you guys to install it and try it in your environments. If you are having any questions, our support team is always here to help you, and you can contact us either via email, phone or chat, and somebody will be there to help you if you want to request a demo, or you need help with your trial, or you are an existing customer and having some problems with our tooling. We will be there to help you.